Oh, Doug, look at that background.
Yeah, I took that picture a long time ago. I think it's from the Broadway Bridge.
It looks like you live in the penthouse.
Far from it. I can change it if it annoys people, but
No, it's great.
it's just the background of this room is kind of disarray. Annoying.
David, I might be mistaken, but I think I see some spare wall space, maybe some spare ceiling space behind you. I couldn't be sure about that, though.
Well,
Yeah.
there's enough
do you
room
mean?
for a stamp.
Well, I mean, people collect stamps. Maybe
People
that's
do
what
collect stamps.
my father does. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I figured, why have all the artwork sitting under a bed somewhere when you can staple it to the ceiling?
Ah,
So
sounds like my dorm room. The staple is the best thing.
it is, especially when you don't own the property.
Oh,
So remind me, Scott, where were you when you had to do the international judging for the gymnastic
Rio de Janeiro.
organization? Where?
Rio de Janeiro.
Wow.
Did they pay for it?
So yeah, so they flew me there. They put me up in a hotel, gave me food and all that other stuff. And actually, I didn't expect to get paid, because usually the way it works with these really big meets is that the bigger the meet, the less you get paid. But I actually got paid, pretty well. I mean, relatively well for gymnastics, not for like an NFL ref or anything like that. So just getting a check on top of everything else was good. But after flying my family there and all the expenses involved in that and getting my hotel room, I was way behind. So it definitely wasn't a money-making thing, but certainly a nice family bonding and a wonderful experience to be out there. I'd never been to the Southern Hemisphere, so for me it was unique.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was language a big problem or not so much?
So in the hotels and restaurants, it wasn't. I mean, most people spoke English, at least a little bit of pidgin English, but if you went outside of that, then it was. Yeah. I mean, it's the thing about Brazil is that they speak Portuguese, and I can understand and speak a little bit of Spanish, but as much as you think Portuguese should be like Spanish, it sounded like a completely different foreign language, and I couldn't understand anything.
Yeah, by now they'd have their own kind of dialect set up. I mean, after all these years, other than Portugal. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's such a much bigger country than Portugal is. So
Yeah,
anyway, it's a great experience. And that's the one thing about gymnastics is it's given me all these opportunities to do some pretty cool stuff. So last month I was in Tampa judging the national championships, and I'd never been to Tampa, Florida before. And apparently it's just improved greatly in the past 10, 20 years. And I was very impressed with everything except for Tropicana Stadium.
So what impressed you about Tampa, Florida?
So they've really invested a lot in cleaning up their waterfront, and it's almost like, islands and peninsulas that are connected together. So there's a lot of waterfront there, and there's a lot of really nice apartment complexes and hotels, and the convention center is really wonderful. And the sports center, the arena is really nice. And so they're really fixing up that area, and it's obvious that they're investing billions of dollars to do so. And I think a lot of people are moving into Tampa and St. Petersburg, and it's obvious that the developers have kind of jumped into the fray and are investing a tremendous amount of money because there's a lot of construction going on. So apart from the fact that it was very humid, but the Uber driver told me that if it wasn't for air conditioning, that no one would choose to live in Florida.
Yeah. I remember Florida when it wasn't air conditioned. my grandparents lived there when I was a child, and we drove down from Oklahoma in an unair-conditioned car and stayed with my grandparents in an unair-conditioned house in Miami. And
Yeah,
it was really, even as a kid, and kids are much less, much more tolerant of, temperature, I think. It was pretty awful.
yes. I used to do the same thing, Sherry, for winter break, because I also had grandparents living there in Miami. And we would always spend about 10 days there over winter break. And so I felt the same way for sure.
Wow. So,
Just a second, I'm gonna go on mute. I got an email from Linda saying that the link, there's some problem with the link. So be right back.
Did you guys get on the link that was in the email, or did you go to the link that was in the calendar?
In the email.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, so while we're waiting, hi Tiffany.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hey, yeah.
Your supplies are being stored in a conference room / package room. So you can either coordinate with me or the concierge may be able to help you. I put your name on it. So thanks very much for dropping those things off.
Great. Did it work out well? Did you wear
Yeah,
the little
yeah.
glove?
Oh, we
Okay.
didn't wear the vest, but it was nice to have a couple people to work alongside. So
Hey, what did they think after you did that? Was it hard to do, or was it fun, or?
yeah, I think because we were together, it was fun. And like I mentioned, there's one woman who's been doing Adopt a Block. So she's, she does it by herself. She says she finds it kind of therapeutic, which I thought was funny. But we also did like in front of Zion Church, because they're hosting some events and there was a pile of glass there. So the little broom thing came in handy. So
Yeah. Well, I just for everyone on this call, Lori and I are talking about her role is she went out with a couple volunteers and cleaned up the trash on our festival site. And I utilized some of the equipment that I use for Old Town Chinatown. I usually run about approximately 68 volunteers. So I have like 3 wagons, all these different types of materials. So I just dropped it off to her, and that little pickup broom thing's really handy. I like it
Yeah.
how it's like a dustpan / broom together, and you just have to,
yeah,
you just go.
thanks for
But
that.
so thank you. I really appreciate that. And she, in addition to doing that, she was putting flyers on windshields just to let them know that gentle reminder, don't leave your car out, we'll tow it. So thank you, Lori. Those flyers, I have to say special thank you to Jerry. He made them, and I thought they were really cool looking, right? Do you think it was a nice little layout?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very professional looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it had a
Except
nice
for the date.
tone, like, sorry, we're asking you to not park in front of your home or whatever. So
Yeah.
See, I gotta know, Lori, you said you're going out of town. Can you tell us where? Somewhere
Oh,
exciting, tropical?
yeah, well,
exotic?
Boston, Cape Cod, including Martha's Vineyard, if there's room for us.
Uh-oh, the buses are booked.
Yeah, I think we already made our ferry reservation, but I don't.
How
When do
fun.
you ship out? I didn't catch that part. I might have been on the call later. Are you leaving
Oh,
tomorrow
no,
too?
the end of next week. Yeah, so.
Well, let's go ahead and start the meeting. We've been recording since the very beginning. This is just kind of like by default that Neighbors West Northwest are still using their account. So welcome, everybody. This is the September meeting of the Goose Hollow Board. And we're here to discuss mainly kind of the last minute planning details for Goose Hollow Days, but we have some other items of business that we need to cover as well. So let's go ahead and see if we can, we have the minutes from August. I didn't post a full agenda up here, but did anybody have any comments about the August minutes?
Linda's cat has an objection.
Oh, wait a minute. You know, I only have, did we even have a, did I even post the August minutes?
Yeah, they're up on the website.
They are? How
Yeah,
come
I mean,
they're not showing?
I never saw them, so I can't make any comments.
well, I
Um,
copied them from the website today, so.
Oh, you did? Because I'm on the website right now. That's only showing July. That might be my mistake for not posting it. Is that possible? That I made a mistake? No.
That must have been your
Impossible.
system.
Let me check.
Oh, you're right. No, you're
Yeah,
right.
I don't have
You're
it.
right. This is July.
This
Hey,
is July.
Scott, what do you think about sending all of us at the board the minutes? And while we're talking about other things, our secretary can bring it up and then we could kind of revisit it once everyone gets it in their email box. Is that fair?
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm not even sure if do I have the minutes?
Oh,
I
David,
sent them to you. I sent them
We
to you
didn't
about.
have a meeting. We didn't have a meeting.
No. Oh, that's what,
Right?
yeah, you're right. July's the last one, maybe.
Yeah,
So obviously we haven't approved the July meeting minutes yet, if we haven't done that. So for the July minutes, have people looked at the July minutes? Let me just give you kind of a highlight here. We approved the minutes. We had a treasurer's report. Vadim gave the Portland City Charter Commission update. We had an update on Goose Hollow Days, an update from Tiffany on the homeless encampments, and then we had various committee reports. And this was held at OSA, so it was held, it was actually a hybrid meeting. So we had Tiffany there on a laptop, and then we had people live.
yeah, there should be something in the notes about our postcards because we were successful in landing that. And we did have Neighbors West Northwest there as well to give a little presentation on the grant funding as well, if the notes say that.
Yeah. So let me see here. Yeah, I don't have anything in here about the postcards.
Yeah, there's nothing in the postcards. On number 9 says grant applications will be available August 1st. That's all.
Right, so that's something different. That's something that Laurie is going to be, well, she can go ahead and make a presentation if she wants to, but the idea is they're a little late for the small grants and we're pursuing one for additional funding for Goose Hollow Days. So it's like we're going to be holding Goose Hollow Days before we actually get funding for Goose Hollow Days from the small grants. And that could be kind of a seed fund, you know, part of it can be paying for, you know, the advertising costs and some other costs involved in it. Because we also have other people that have, that are sponsoring the event. So we're going to end up, I think, with a net positive. So, I'm gonna-
Scott,
Yeah,
I don't remember much of a mention of the postcards. It was just assumed at that meeting, I guess.
yeah.
So
I
I don't think that's an issue.
No, I think in June we had a presentation about the postcards, but I don't think we talked about it at the July meeting. So,
I think you might be correct. I think we showed it off. That's when it happened, right? Right before the annual picnic, I think, right? Did we hold it up? And yeah,
Yep.
okay, good.
so with that said, does anybody have an objection to accepting the minutes as written, the July minutes? Not seeing, then we have a consensus on approval of the minutes for July 2022. Thank you. Steve is not here. He said that he's not available, but did everybody get a copy of the treasurer's report?
Yes.
If you want, I can go ahead and share the screen. So this is the treasurer's report, which shows that we have money in checking, which includes sponsorship from BMW on top of you know, what the existing account was, and then we had expenses for the postcards and for Goose Hollow Days expenses as well. And then we're expecting some additional funds to kind of bulk that up. So does anybody have any questions about the treasurer's report?
Yeah, this is Tiffany. I sent Stephen today, for the side account, the Goose Hollows fundraising bottle drop account. He
Yeah.
keeps track of that. We had $101 and I think 90 cents in it. I'm looking back at the email. I sent it to him today and screenshotted it for the record. Oh yeah, here we go. What I did was we got a radio cab bill that came in for $90.88. We radio cab 3 people off the streets this month to shelter sites.
Okay.
In preparation for Goose Hollow days, we wanted to make sure we don't just push people out of the way. And so we safely relocated. But so I asked for a bottle drop check to come in the amount of $90.88 to pay for the radio cab bill. And our treasurer has all of that for record. So just for clarification, we have $101 in the account and 90 of it is going over to radio cab this month. Thank you, Stephen, if you're on this call.
Okay, so instead of $20 for bottle drop, it's more like 11.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions or concerns about the balance? It is definitely going to be changing by next month when we get all of the funds from the sponsors and we get an accounting of all the expenses for Goose Holidays.
I just have a quick question to ask Tiffany about, removing the people from the radio cab. Where did they go at, Tiffany?
One of them went to Bybee Lakes Hope Center. It was more of an expensive transfer over there. And the 2 others went to another local shelter nearby. And I can't remember, I'm sorry, I can't remember, but I just remember the Bybee Lakes because that one's a more of expensive ticket price.
Did the people go there voluntarily or?
Oh yes, we never force anybody to take a ride. It's when they you offer, hey, look, it looks like you're gonna be, and also it's in front of Lincoln High School too during the safe rest, like safe routes passage. We offered that up, as an option of other than just, hey, you need to just move along now. So yeah, 3 this month. Generally we only get about one a month. And so 3 to me was a lot, but there's also a lot of things that are going on right now. We've got a major event going on. Schools need safe routes, that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of schools in Goose Hollow, right? PSU, Lincoln, and some of the charter schools right there. So yeah. Anyway, I'll report next month to see where that lands us later. But thank you, everyone.
Okay, so
Thank you.
not hearing any objections, I move to accept the treasurer's report with the modified bottle drop account balance of $11 after the renewed balance of 101 minus the $90 for the radio cap.
Second it.
Okay. Any objections? Not hearing any objections, we pass. Okay, let's go back to our regular screen and let's go ahead and talk about Goose Holidays. Tiffany, I don't know if you wanted to just kind of tell everybody. I mean, there's just so many balls that we are juggling in the air. I just want to make sure that we take care of all of these little details before we move on. So why don't you just update everybody on where we are?
Great. So Jerry and I we've been meeting quite often in person and on the phone, and Jerry's with me now. Jerry made a most updated site map. He sent it to our email in the last 5 minutes. Do you mind having that ready to go and sharing with people? If you guys have access to your email, if you need to follow along, sometimes it's helpful to see a map of what we're talking about as we're going along for the street festival, because this is not our traditional Block 7 layout this year. This is an L-shaped street festival that's accommodating, kind of straddling 2 major events in the area, and that's a good thing, but it's also a very busy thing. And so a site map will help kind of ground you for what information I'm going to give. The next thing is this. We're down to the wire. So I'm looking at making sure that I get in front of all of you today to make sure we know what your schedule availability is and where you're going to work at the day of. And also want to thank volunteers that have already contributed their time to this event. Thank you. Oh, this is great. Yay. And thank you, Jerry. Isn't he great? He's such a great, with the layouts and logistics. It's been great. Jerry, you can step in at any time, but you know me, I'm pretty hoggy when it comes to talking. So just let me know. So for Goose Holidays, September 17th, we're going to start off our day at 7 o'clock in the morning. That includes myself and maybe Jerry and a few others that would like to sign in for the early bird setup. And early bird setup means getting there before our vendors show up at 8 o'clock. Early bird entails, I've got a leaf blower, I've got a generator, we've got street barricades that we want to make sure that we set out, and we have marketing information or marketing, like, you know, street festival marketing signs that we could put out. But most importantly, I think our goal is to get the Goose Hollow tent up and make sure that we have like an anchor point. Tent number 28 on the map will be the Goose Hollow Days tent. This is your heart. Jerry and I thought that this was a good location. We call it the eye in the sky. You can see everything on the street festival at this corner. The Goose Hollow tent would be crucial for our volunteers to be right there, because you can see the food trucks, you can see the musical performances, you can see all exits right from that angle. So if there's something that's to go awry, you could make a phone call, that kind of stuff. So 10 to 8:28 is where I'm asking the Goose Hollow board to take 2-hour shifts all day long. Well, I have you guys today. I know Linda is going to be on vacation, but maybe we could go down these time slots every 2 hours, and so everybody could say what they're slated for. Bridget did reach out, said she'll take the 9 to 11 shift.
I mean, I can go anytime. So if other people have, you know, responsibilities or places they need to be, I'm flexible.
Great. Anybody else have a special time slot? Yay! Just jump in there. Yeah, find a slot. Sitting at the Goose Hollow booth, if you haven't done that already, most of us have already, but it generally means people coming up, looking to sign new memberships, maybe talking a little bit about what the Goose Hollow Foothills League entails. Things on the table will have swag, helping with passports, you know, stamping with the Goose Hollow stamp when they come up there talking to you. They may have questions about, hey, where's the bathroom? Or, hey, I need first aid. I don't know. You know, I want this tent to be the helpful tent of all. If you're a volunteer at this tent, Big Frog t-shirts over off of Burnside, right there in our boundary lines, has sponsored us and gave us 10 volunteer t-shirts with our awesome logos on it. So if you're working that booth, I would love it if you wore that shirt, and any other volunteers we have floating around the festival street area right there to wear the shirt, because I have a feeling that it's going to be mayhem out there and there's going to be bodies everywhere. And I want to make sure that if people visit our site, they know how to grab someone and ask questions of like, hey, how do I get out of here? Or where do I park? Or where's that bathroom at? Or when is the musical performance, kind of thing. David, I'm gonna just go down the list. David, what's your availability on that day?
Unfortunately, I'm in Bend for a wedding that whole weekend, so I'm not even in Portland.
Okay, so
Sorry.
that's okay. We can figure out something for you afterwards, right?
Certainly.
or maybe you can help us with some other project, but at least we know where you're at, and we'll be jealous of you. So yeah. Okay, let's see who, Sherry, maybe let us know. I know you're part of the, I don't know if we're slated for you for the booth because you're going to do the Heritage Tree Tour. Is that correct? Is that kind of your volunteer part?
Yes, and I have something to report with that. So the problem is that Martin Nicholson had to cancel, and all of the arborists are all involved in the fires. So essentially it came back to, we're going to be leading it. And so Steve has been doing the research on it. And I realized that that Steve and Daniel and I are not Martin Nicholson, but we're going to do the best we can. And we're going to try and get I'm going to stop by Scott's place tomorrow. He's going to try and dig up a stick for me so I can staple a program and, you know, stand out at that corner again. And we'll just try to lead it. I talked to Tracy. We're going to try and do 5 trees, and we'll just see what we can do. Steve, do you want to talk a little bit about the goose?
Yeah,
about the-
basically.
Can you see guys see Steve putting it,
Well, I don't see it, Sharon.
well, I'm trying to see. Oh, there it goes. Okay, there you
Yeah,
are.
on the website, there's a whole program called the Heritage Tree Program Guidebook. And there's a map of Goose Hollow that shows all of the heritage trees with an explanation of each one. And I'm going to use that as the basic outline for the whole tour. And essentially, this will be Goose Hollow Heritage Tree 101. It'll be very simple. Some of the other things I have, this one is 2019, the latest one under Nick Fish. There was one from 2013 that
So
I
they can-
have
they
here.
can
That was
This is
for
the other
for
one.
Mayor Haley. And we also have a potential application from 2014 for a giant sequoia right outside the Hoyt House. However, that is in suspended animation because of the pandemic. The people are not even occupying the house. So they have a copy of this application, but it's gone nowhere.
Right, and for years, Steve and Daniel have been trying to get that tree placed on the register, and evidently, before we even moved to Portland, which was in 2013, that the Hoyt Arboretum was trying to get that tree. So any rate, I guess we'll have enough for a 1 hour to 1.5 hour hike. I'm a little nervous because, of course, we don't have Martin this year. So we'll sort of wing it, but that's sort of like our basic contribution. In previous years, I've sat down, recruiting people and whatnot. I'll be really honest with you. It's a lot for me right now. I don't know how many of you know this, but August 11th, we lost our son-in-law at age 38, and our daughter is in the hospital as we speak. She thought she was having a heart attack. She's 36 years old and has 3 children. So we're going to do the heritage tree. We are like on alert in case we get any phone calls from Israel about our daughter. I really am not in the mood to volunteer and like I have been in previous years. So I'll just do the tree tour if that's okay. In the event that you have an empty space and you need someone, then you can approach us. How about leaving it that way? Is that all right?
Hey, Sherry,
Yeah.
first of all, we have the sign made for you. It's not just a stick. We actually put the thing on. So you can come by and get it and everything's taken care of. You can use that to lead everybody.
I think
Second-
that's awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
So that's already done. And the second one, Steve, you had mentioned that that document is posted online. Is it, I couldn't see it. Is it the Heritage Tree Program Guidebook 2019, or is it specific to Goose Hollow?
Oh, no, this is 2019. The Goose Hollow is in it.
You show it up on the screen, Steve, so they can see.
Let me see if I can show it. So is this what you're talking about?
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
All right, I just want to make sure so that when I send the notice out to the neighborhood, I'll make sure that there's a link to this document.
Oh, that's good. And
Okay.
especially if you can see, it explains all about the heritage tree.
Right.
There's a letter there, the Dear Heritage Tree Enthusiast
Yep.
by Greg Everhart, the chair of the
Yep.
committee, but special attention to G5, which is on page 26. I'll put that here. If you look at that, no, that's not it.
But it'll list all of the trees.
Yeah, a G5. If you get the,
Yeah.
there, that's it. You can see all of the trees in Goose Hollow here. A lot of them are collected right across the street from the Goose. And that's where Martin always started out.
He also last year spent about 5 minutes at Block 7 pointing out the beautiful trees that some of which in a normal world would be candidates for the Heritage Tree Program, but we're losing approximately 50 trees, some of them extraordinary trees. And so when I was talking to Tracy, just to mention it in passing, about, what is being done to our neighborhood. I mean, a 17-story parking
All right,
garage.
Sherry, I know we
Yes.
could spend like a billion minutes on this. I don't want to get too, I mean, we want to try to keep the meeting just very directed. I know that you're very passionate about Block 7, but we just need to keep
Yeah.
focused on Goose Hollow.
I got you. I go down a rabbit hole. I hear you.
Understood. You're very passionate about, we all are. Lincoln High School also has a heritage tree on site, and that is being saved. So it's on the corner of Salmon and 15.
Hey, Sherry, can you point that out on your tour, that great heritage tree that's saved at Lincoln?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Here is the thing. There are so many beautiful trees in that are heritage trees in Goose Hollow. It's really every year Martin focuses on different things.
Yeah, that's right off of here.
And so I sense the focus this year is Lincoln High School. It's a new building and all of that. So that's a great idea, to spend a few minutes to point out the tree so people can appreciate that it's what's right in front of them.
Well, thank you for.
Is that Scott? Sorry. Can people meet up at that first heritage tree site right there at Lincoln? Is that a good starting point if you were to advertise for that? Where are you meeting?
No, we're meeting
Oh,
at
that's
the
right,
Goose Hollow Inn, and that's that would be a game changer, because every year we've been doing it since 2017. We've had the Goose Hollow Inn, and Rachel's expecting us. So, I mean,
There's 3 trees.
and
right
there's
there.
3 trees right around there. So,
Perfect. Sorry about that.
Um,
Yep, I had a brain lapse. Fantastic. And Sherry, thank you so much for Sherry and Steve. If someone could snap a picture of the 2 of you on the walk and share it with us, we'd love to put
well, thank you.
a collage of pictures after the fact, maybe for our website, kind of so people know, and maybe snap a picture of that tree at Lincoln High. We could probably put it on the website too,
Sure.
on our page. But
Okay, that's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Thank you, Tiff. Yeah.
should we let's press on, because we do have so much to cover.
Sure.
Forgive me, Scott, I realized when we the day of the event, I'm just going to talk a little bit specifically about what people are going to see. There's really 3 entrance locations to the street festival. Our main one is 16th and Salmon. And that right there at 16th and Salmon, yep, that's one of our entrance points. This is a key spot where I think I'll put Tracy Prince in her author book piece, because she'll be a good person to manage that front end right there. People coming in, we'll have Blue Star Donuts out there really pushing donuts and coffee right there to the families of Lincoln High School the day of. We will have great marketing. I have to say, this year, in the last 30 days, Mac Club has done such a good job of really supporting the Goose Hollow Foothills Street Festival days. They've spent on about $3,000 on our marketing promotional for us. So you're going to see this year something different. That's feather banners that show entrance sites. These big, tall, I think they're like 4 foot, maybe bigger feather banners that are just super cool. We're going to put them on there, so you will not miss the festival site. And then we'll also have a sandwich board out front with a schedule of events right there. And that's something I'll be picking up tomorrow, and you haven't seen on our festival site. That will kind of give like a timeline of events. Scott, forgive me, when we were looking at that timeline of events, we forgot to put the heritage tree on there. We just were thinking about the day of events. And next year for the sandwich board, let's make sure we get the heritage tree on there, right? Or,
Well, I mean, by the time the sandwich board is up at the Goose Hollow days, it'll be too late.
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Good point. Actually, I forgot. I'm gonna backtrack a little bit on our booth again because we stopped at Sherry and I forgot. We got onto the heritage tree thing. Can I back up really quick to see what other board members are here, what their schedules are like, to see if I can figure out if you're available the day of. Let's see. We've got Linda's gone. Where's Vadim at? Is he not on this call? Maybe I should text him. Let's see, we've got Sean and Catherine. I know they moved away, but has anybody heard any communications whether they'll be in town for Goose holidays or not? I don't think they are. Yeah.
I don't think so. I haven't heard from them.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a no and a no. Scott, I have a feeling, what's your timeline? You're gonna be what, 7 to 5 or 7 to 3 or?
Yeah,
what do you-
probably, except we're planning on being there the entire time. So we'll be floaters. You can plug us in wherever.
Okay.
I know Tracy's going to be there. And Tiffany is tent 27 or location number 27. Is that going to be the Fireman's Memorial?
Yes, yep.
Okay. So one of the things that I wanted to ask is just like a little detail is, we have we can bring a tent for Goose Holidays. That's not a problem. Are we going to need to bring a tent for the Fireman's Memorial, or are they going to bring everything and set it up?
They're going to bring everything and set it up. And there's a contact point name guy. I think his name is Gary. I think he's going to set it up. He just can't stay for the event. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about in a second here about vendor drop-offs between 8 and 9. But they're going to come set up a tent, and then they've asked Goose Holidays to kind of watch over it. And that includes like a donation jar, as well as some really, really cool firefighter memorial type decor. And I just don't want somebody to steal it.
And so do we have a table?
They have a table for it. Yeah.
No. Does Goose Hollow have a table for its own tent?
Good question. I forgive me. I thought that since you guys have the tent, do you have the table or no? Do we need a table?
Yeah, we do. We do. Tracy's,
Okay,
we have a small folding table for Tracy's tent on like 15 or 1 where you're going to put her, I guess. But we don't have a table for 28. So these are the kind of details that, are easy to slip through the cracks because it's like one of the last things you think about. I had asked Tracy if Zion Lutheran would be able to supply tables. It's a little bit of a haul to bring tables. She didn't seem to think so. She didn't know how many of them would actually be available, but they are, of course, volunteering their site for the talk and walk that she's giving on Sunday. So I don't know if that's a place that you can approach to try to get tables, or if we can get a folding table from somewhere, but that's something that we definitely need if we're going to be having literature that we need to hand out to people.
Okay, I made note of that. I think I might have a folding table. I'm not sure, but I'd rather use something off of the Zion if we could. I was gonna put that in a note tomorrow morning to call them just to see how they're doing and if they need anything. Has anybody spoke to Zion in the last 5 days?
No.
Okay, does anybody on the board have a relationship with Zion where they thought, hey, I'll call them just to make sure that they're all set for the walking tour and slideshow presentation, or any kind of furniture there on site that they could loan to us?
Tracy's been in heavy contact with them about that, but not about the borrowing anything on for Saturday.
Okay. Gosh, it'd be great to have Tracy here, but is she not available tonight for this call?
She's picking up my son from volleyball practice, so she's in Tigard right now. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to put a little note. Tracy has good rapport, and then we will talk about that table. And then also if we need any extra chairs, right? Because we need how many chairs to sit in? Just maybe 2 at the vendor booth, right? For Goose Hollow. Do we need, and we probably need maybe 2 extra chairs just in case someone gets winded and needs to sit down, maybe?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know if people will feel overwhelmed at the festival. Have we had that in the past where someone needs to sit down for a minute?
Well, I mean, not at the GHFL booth, but because we've had the stage set up, we've had a lot of chairs set up for people viewing performers on the stage, and then there's people in the food truck, and they're probably going to want to sit down and eat too. So I don't know if there's any places for them to do that.
So maybe we should ask Zion to give us, and I see Bridget's hand up, maybe give us extra, like 10 extra chairs for people to sit for and put their, sit down for a minute, eat. That's a good point. Bridget, what are you thinking?
Oh, I was just gonna say for our tent or for our table 28, I can just bring my 2 folding chairs and leave them there. They're not fancy, but it might just kind of make it easy. If someone just brings a folding chair for our tent, I can just bring the chairs and leave them there for a little bit.
Okay.
They were like $12, so they'll be okay if they never come back to me.
I think I left mine last year by accident. And then I think I finally got it back a half a year later. So yeah, Bridget, 2 folding chairs. Great. Okay. I do think it'd be, I'm going to write a note that at least 10 chairs from Zion plus a folding table. Maybe some of our volunteers who are here for the morning crew from 7 to 9 could, kind of whisk over there and carry them back. I don't know. Is that too far to walk? Yeah. From Zion from our site. Does anybody know? I don't think it is.
It's not very far. It's just,
can walk
It's not
that.
far, but with furniture, it's kind of a different thing. If there was some kind of rolling cart or something,
Yeah, I bet the church
I-
has something like that. But go ahead, Doug.
2 chairs for me, walking that far is not very far, even a couple more. It's not, I could do it if it's necessary.
Okay. And then we could also maybe schedule when we move the folding chairs, maybe we could get a vehicle to go over to Zion and come drop it off. Maybe actually, if I'm debating if I'm going to bring a truck on that day or something, because I'm carrying a generator for this event, a 100-pound generator. So I'll be dropping that off at 7 o'clock in the morning and have one of you great people help me unload it right there off of 16th and Taylor at the press blocks. We're just park it behind the food trucks there. Yeah, so maybe we can make a run with my truck over to Zion and maybe pick up furniture, but we should probably talk in advance with a contact over there to see, is the church even open at 7 o'clock in the morning, or do we get the furniture? I don't know. Like, what do we do? Yeah, so I'm just gonna pick a note, talk to Zion later. Okay. So, Scott, should I press on?
yeah, keep going.
Steven's not here tonight, but I think he said he's available for the festival to help out. Did he leave a note with anybody about what hours he's available? I could always reach out in the morning.
it's at the bottom of his email, the treasurer report email.
So you caught his availability? On the
Yeah,
bottom
let's
of-
see.
Thank
He
you
says-
for,
Yeah, he says, I'm available for shifts for Goose Hollow days, any shift Friday between 6 a.m. and 5 p.m., before 8 a.m. on Saturday, and from 2 p.m. till late Saturday. So if he does it, it would have to be, afternoon for him. Unless,
okay, or the 7 or 8 a.m. in the morning, right? 7
yeah,
or 8
I mean, he
a.m.
would only be able to be there, it looks like, for an hour at most, from
Okay.
7 to 8 in the morning.
Okay, and then what was the afternoon shift again? I'm gonna write that down.
2, anytime after 2, so 2 on.
Okay, so he'll be for tear down and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Maybe
uh-huh.
those tables and chairs back to Zion, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay, and then David, no, Scott, yes, Sean and Catherine are, they're in a different state. Lori is, forgive me, Lori, I can't remember what's your availability.
I hadn't said yet, but I can do any of the 9, the 12, or the 2. Yeah, I can do any of those.
Okay, how about
So
we
you just-
select, are you
Go ahead.
okay doing the 12, are you okay doing the 12 to 2? Because I know Scott and I might be tied up with live streaming and, getting the DJ and the musical performances going up and running. I just know, I have a
Yeah,
feeling
sure.
it's gonna be our hardest hour,
Sure.
right, Scott?
Yep.
Okay, yeah,
So 12 to 2.
yeah.
Okay,
And then,
sure.
I just know the gauntlet is between 11 to 2, where I could see us, debatably running around trying to make sure to put out some fires. And then the 2 to 4 is probably the smooth sailing one, if anybody wants that one, where we're kind of winding down. The festival ends at 3, 2 to 3. And the between the 2 and 4, you're going to see the OSU tailgating event where the band is going to march through off at 18th, right? And it's going to be super loud and awesome, and there's going to be lots of energy there. So it will be on, that'll be our tail end. So if you're volunteering from 2 to 4, you're going to probably see a marching band of a large amount of OSU band people, making a lot of great noise down 18th right there. They're going to be coming from the MAC Club and they're going to go to gate F, I think. So they're going to go past gate B all the way to F, and it's going to be cool. So if you wanted that to be a part of your shift, you know, take the 2 to 4. Anyway, 7 to 9, Scott, I think that's more you and I, right? Because we're logistics. If
That's fine. Uh-huh.
yeah. Scott, Tiff. Yeah, so I still think we need a 2 to 4 slot, and we're missing Vadim. Maybe we could plug in Vadim, you know, like I could ask him for the 2 to 4 at least. It looks like Scott, Tiff first shift. Scott and I are going to be at every shift actually, so we could be that second floater. But it looks like Bridget 9 to 11, Lori 12 to 2, and then we need a 2 to 4.
Well, Steve is
Steve.
available.
Oh yeah, so we'll put,
He just needs to be told.
yeah, okay, so we'll put I'll reach out to Steve tomorrow. We'll probably put him in the 2 to 4 slot, and then we've got Vadim. He could probably, maybe we could have Vadim straddle the 9 to 11 and the 12 to 2 shift, and he can kind of help both of those shifts out. What do you think?
Well, does he has his own booth with the charter reform?
He does, but he's going to go back and forth. He's sharing that booth with Mingus Maps.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'll just call him in the morning and say that, but I'm gonna, maybe I can help him along with that and say, hey, we're going to keep you from, you know, 11 to 1, and maybe you can do your booth on the other hours maybe. And I wouldn't be shocked if Mingus likes that plan anyway, because the elected officials like Mayor Wheeler will be over at the school from, you know, the ribbon cut at 10 to 11. And I wouldn't be shocked if you know, I don't know, just thinking out loud. Yeah, I'll ask Vadim. Okay, is Doug, what shift would you like? Are we, Doug is like our pseudo past board member. Are we okay with Doug at the, no?
I'm gonna do setup and probably clean up afterwards. What's left for the covering?
Well, how
booth.
about we keep you off the booth because you're special to us, and you could be our put out fires crew with us. How about that? Would you like
Okay.
that? And then
Yeah.
if we have to, if someone calls in sick or something, we'll put you in there. You could be our Band-Aid.
But I'm supposed to be there at 7 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning for the setup.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what I'll do is move next into the most hardest position, and that's the early morning setup. Doug and Jerry, you can pipe in on this. We've got, as of right now, 35 vendors. I wouldn't be shocked if we push about 38 by Friday night, because we had a couple that had COVID. I think COVID's starting to make it rear its ugly head again. I don't know. And then we have a few vendors that are showing up at the last minute. Not a shocker. So I know for sure we've got 35 vendors. And when we go, because of everything that's happening in the area with Lincoln High School and OSU, they're setting up too. So parking is going to be an issue. And so I was talking to Jerry that we're going to have 2 locations where vendors can pull up at 8 o'clock a.m. and quickly unload their tent equipment into their designated number spot on this map. And what I would like our valet to do is watch, like as the cars pull up, say you have exactly 2 minutes to get your stuff out of the car into that little cubicle, and we're going to have volunteers watch over your stuff, and then you're going to go take your car off site to First United Methodists parking lot. They have a parking lot B. I have a map right here. I'm going to send it to all of you. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry. But First United Methodist is donating, they're sponsoring our event by donating one of their parking lot Bs to our vendors, so they don't have to struggle with finding a parking spot. But the goal is get in the line, get your vendor stuff dropped off, go back to your car, go park it over at the church, jog back over and finish your setup. Is that fair? And then cars will come down Taylor like that. They're going to make a hard right on the 16th and get out of the way so we can triage the next cars in line. Other cars coming up on 16th and Salmon's the other drop-off zone. And I think that Jerry and I were talking that it'll take 2 strong people to make sure cars don't back up on each other and people take too long. So either Jerry's going to be at the 16th and Taylor stage area with the little asterisk. See that cute little star he made? someone there is going to be able to really tell the cars what to do, the vendors, get in, get out, go to the church parking lot. If it's a Mac Club people, then they could park at the Mac Club. If it's local and they can park at their business location, do that first before parking at the FUMC church. Just because there's only like, I think 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, I mean, there's probably 20 parking spots or 30. I just want to make sure that if our vendor has a site in Goose Hollow they could park at, they go there first. But if not, then they have the convenience of this parking spot. For all of you board members as well, if you want to park your car there, that's great. And then just jog over. But I'd love to have like Douglas, myself, Jerry, and Vadim. I think he's doing the 7 a.m. shift. Scott, we make sure that our vendors are supported, and we make sure their stuff doesn't get stolen either. You know, like if they park their stuff in their vendor booth. So I'd love to have a volunteer at the other asterisk right there off of 17th. Just make sure that someone doesn't sneak up on the festival and steal the stuff while they're unloading, right? So we got to be a very coordinated group and make sure that, yeah. And then they get in their spots. So tomorrow, I think I will send out the final vendor map locations to everybody on the board. So you'll know exactly who's at what. Like, for example, you know, Tracy Prince will be in booth 1 because, you know, she's a great person to have in the front of the festival. She knows everything that's going on. She can watch this to make sure someone's not, you know, entering or exiting or needs help. You know, Scott and I will be at 28. And then at the end of the caboose at near 45, we're going to put the stadium district people, you know, so they can watch the back end right there. Yeah, and that's kind of my game plan for safety. Private security is going to be allocated to us. We've got a guy named Evans Pang, and he's going to be walking back and forth through the street festivals, just to make sure people don't steal things off of the tables and make a run for it, or there's a mental health issue that, you know, sadly happens, right? We have another security guard that will come in and just kind of walk around and say hi to guests and stuff like that, just so people feel safe. And then I wouldn't be shocked is what Jerry said is police will probably stop by to see if we're following the rules, right? And then we've got the fire bureau too. In addition to the memorial table, right next to them, we'll have the fire bureau, a lady, I have her contact number, but she's going to do fire bureau stuff there too. So I'm sure she'll probably be helpful to us. I'm kind of
Tiffany,
too.
Tiffany, if I can ask the question, are we sure that the fence around press blocks is going to be moved?
Oh, yes. Okay, so here we go. Ready? Right now, the press blocks has Turner Construction on there, and it's a pretty scary site right now, but they've been gracious as of yesterday. They haven't ripped up the sidewalks yet, and they haven't punched holes in the walls like they planned on. Something must have happened. They had a change of heart. They're going to move all of their fencing back to the perimeter, and they're going to tuck all their construction equipment you see out there right now inside the building. So aesthetically, no one sees how ugly the construction site is. So we're going to have a lot of play the day of, which I'm thrilled about. The only equipment that can't be tucked inside is on 17th Avenue at Taylor. There's a big piece of equipment called the Staten, and I think it's literally the boom, you know, the thing that holds maybe a piece off the crane. The crane will be arriving tomorrow. I was told the crane wouldn't come till Monday when they start demolitioning the building, but the crane is showing up tomorrow. So they're going to tuck it behind the Staten right over there. But that's more of a walking path for all of our participants anyway, and we don't have permitting on that. Doug, I see your hand up.
Last year, there were a lot of vendors who didn't, the drivers or whoever didn't have their maps. And so we need extra maps available. And of course, the people watching the situation need maps. And it's kind of critical because they just, when they don't know where they're going, they just sort of park. So that's just like, we make sure we have enough copies of the maps. We didn't have enough last year, I don't think.
So what I'm thinking is this: tomorrow when I send out the 35 vendors, the final confirmation, I will send out this site map and the asterisk stars. I won't, that star maybe I'll take off, but and then I'll say you're gonna be greeted by a a Goose Hollow person in a Goose Hollow shirt, and they're going to tell you exactly where to put your stuff and how to get rid of your car. And then how many maps do you think we should print up just to hand them for the sake of ease?
35 vendors, you need, 30 more
35
copies. I mean, they
Okay.
really don't come with their pieces of paper in their hand.
Good point. Okay, so Scott, do you think tomorrow I could text you the final sitemap version, and you could print out, say, 40 copies of like this sitemap plus the parking lot for FUMC, so they know exactly where it's at?
Yeah, so, question, are there gonna be chalk lines delineating the different spots? Because if you give them a site map and say, oh, you're on 36 or 35, they're just gonna kind of guesstimate that it's near the middle of the block, and they might kind of screw things up. So if you draw the chalk lines and even draw the numbers, then all you really need are a few, site maps on each sandwich board, for instance, and then they say, oh, we're spot 30, and then they know where to go
Oh.
to. And then they don't need a piece of paper to tell them, because, even if they did, if we don't have the chalk lines, they're gonna be screwed up.
So we don't need more paper. Okay, fine.
Well, I mean,
you know what?
that's just
Yeah.
my suggestion.
So
If we do the chalk line.
we have 3 sandwich boards out there with the day of the event schedule on it. We'll just tape the sitemap on there for everyone for reference and make sure our Goose Hollow board members know that that's there. But I like the chalkboard, the chalk drawing idea. Jerry, are you here? What do you think? Should we allocate one of us to Jerry? You're really good at this spatial thing. Do you or your son Ian? Jerry's going to bring his boy Ian to help us with that too. Could we chalk draw the day of? Do we need a measuring tape? What do we need to get this handled?
Yeah, hang on here. Am I unmuted? Yes, I'm unmuted. I think we can do that. Maybe even with pavement marking. That could work very well. The the reason that the locations of what we're calling tents or canopies or tables, whatever, are kind of arbitrary at the moment is because when putting the map together without having to measure out where every tree and every piece of street furniture is would be absolutely incredibly difficult. Mapping out or marking the spots on the pavement sounds really good.
Jerry, I have a whole box of chalk in different colors. I'm going to bring it, right? I've got 3 kids, brand new chalks. I'm just going to bring it for you, like us. Okay. Is that fair?
So, actually, Tiffany said, save the chalk. I'll just go get a pavement marking can.
Oh,
That stuff's easy. It's, $3. Who cares?
And that just washes off with the rain, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I trust you. You know what you're doing. You've been there, done that. Okay. So, and in addition to we're still kind of stuck on the early morning crew setup thing. Things I'll have in my arsenal are like duct tape, bungee cords, other things like brooms or anything for accidents, maybe a trash can, that kind of stuff. If you guys think of anything that we might need a first aid kit, I'm just kind of making a list of things. Scott, you probably already know, been there, done that 5 years in a row of what you need at the booth, but just to let me know when I'm dropping off the generator. I'm just going to drop off all this stuff, just in case someone needs something, or a tent, like a pole doesn't go up right on a vendor tent or something. I don't know. So should anything else, Scott, on early setup, or Doug or Jerry on setup?
I'm good.
Okay, I do have one more thing on setup. Street barricades. Turner Construction's leaving us 10 street barricades in a row off of Taylor, right there, Taylor and 16th, in a street closure. Today I put out the no parking little horses along 16th right here by the hair salon, just because we have a lot of residential community right there. And so we're gonna, the morning of between 7 and 9 o'clock, these barricades from Turner are not that heavy, actually. Maybe it just takes 2 people to kind of shimmy them over into the right spots. Those barricades need to go at the asterisk locations on the map. See that right there? And then Jerry did a really good job of putting the stage. He thinks that the stage would be great right here. I just want to make sure we put traffic barricades right behind our performers in a way that makes sure that no car comes barreling off Taylor and goes right for the crowd of the performers. So our biggest barricade is an orange and white wood and metal thing. We'll put it right behind the stage. And I was thinking if Jerry, this is something for Tracy maybe, or us, I don't know, but if anybody has any like are we going to make a stage presence at all, like a curtain or anything like that for a backdrop? Should we do that, or should we just leave it with barricades behind them and just call it a day? I
Do
don't
we,
know.
do we have curtains?
Or something like the backdrop. I don't know. Like
I mean,
when they,
I mean, usually we hang the, Goose Hollow or Goose Hollow Days banner, which we have. But
Okay.
if we can't hang, if there's nothing to hang it from, then we can't do that. So I don't know what we would hang it from. Usually we have like a huge tent and we just kind of hang it from the huge tent. So if we have like a double-sized tent that we usually use for performances. If that's something that you want me to bring for that purpose, then I can go ahead and do that. And we can set it up
What-
as the stage and then hang something on the back wall so that,
Yeah.
you're not looking at like construction equipment or, nastiness or anything like that. So that's what we've done. In the
let's bring that, because the 10-day forecast looks absolutely fantastic, except for the day of the Goose Holidays Festival. It looks overcast a little bit, no sign of rain yet, but don't you think we should probably prepare for that just in case?
Yeah, so I'll bring the regular size tent for Goose Hollow Days, for the Goose Hollow Neighborhood Association, which is spot 28, and then for the stage, I'll bring the double-sided tent, the double-sized
Thank
tent,
you. Thank you.
and the big banner to hang from it.
Fantastic. Before we move forward on the rest of the categories, I want to say that the MAC Club did such a good job with $3,000 worth of marketing materials. That's your all these 5 different feather banners for all over the site, 3 sandwich boards with 2-sided marketing on each side, and then they also paid for the future of Goose Hollow Days. That's light poles. Have you ever driven in a neighborhood and they advertised a community event from the light pole and this beautiful little flag is down there? Well, they spent money on those 2 for us. So they made it in a way that it's timeless, Goose Holidays, Street Festival. So in the future, when people see it, our event, the flags will be up on the light poles in 3 different locations of Goose Hollow for 30 solid days. Sadly, we just couldn't get it this year, but we're going to use those light pole flags just to strategically place throughout our festival site. And the next year, Booms will put it up for our in 30 days in advance. So if any of you guys are working this festival group, you'll know that that's part of it. But I just want to give a special shout out to Mac Club, because they didn't have to, but they did. And that's really cool. And so there's going to be a lot of a lot of Goose Hollow Festival advertising around. And I think that's going to be, I'm hoping that because we're kind of in the middle of Goose Hollow, that'll help with our festival site, like saying we're right here, right in the middle of chaos. All right, well, I'm going to move forward on tear down volunteers. I think we know who they are, but the goal of tear down is just to put the barricades back to Turner construction site. Turner's on Monday morning, first thing at 7 o'clock in the morning. They're going to rearrange their street barricades. They've been gracious enough to allow us to work in their space, even though I had a permit on their space anyway, but they're big developers and, they do what they do. They don't care about us like that. So they're going to move their street barricades back into the right spot. We just want to make sure that no trash is left behind. I talked to the Timber Stadium. Their role is to clean up the trash after their event. They're going to have a hard time cleaning. I said Goose Hollow will do the first end, the front end. They can do the back end. And I think they got the run to the deal. So if it looks bad out there, we know whose job it is to clean that up. But that doesn't mean we can't clean up our festival site. So trash cans and the cleaning materials I'll have for 5 o'clock. The festival site, we start breaking down at 3 o'clock. The moment you see the OSU band come through, that's kind of an indicator like, wow, it's so awesome. The tailgaters are going to flood the area. This is a good time to get out of the way. Unless you're an OSU fan and you're just going to keep partying on, go for it. We are looking to break down at that hour. And the food trucks did ask me that they'd like to stay in the spot right there at the press blocks till 5 o'clock. Cause you know what? Money's money and they don't want to leave when money's hot. So I said, well, you just got to be out by 5 o'clock. And because the game starts at 6 anyway. So I'm sure there's some fudge room there, but for us festivals, I'm sure we're probably going to be done. Scott and I won't be, or I won't be leaving until those food cart trucks leave the property and go. And then, so that's kind of the goal there. For food trucks, we've got Bellagio's Pizza right there off of Collins Circle. They're going to kill it. They're super excited to be our main food vendor right there. We have Potluck in the Park. I can't remember if I told you this before, but they're going to provide food and beverages like water bottles, juices, sodas, teas. They're not going to charge. What they're going to do is going to ask for donations only because they care about people with food insecurities. That's their thing, right? They don't want to turn people away that can't afford a meal, but they are also looking for a donation. So, and that's our way of our neighborhood pulling together, and I'll put them over there by Bellagio's. Mac Club is going to be serving cookies, all those with the little M stamps on it. I'm sure that's going to create a sugar frenzy as well. And then we've been feverishly working with like maybe one more food cart right there. Salvador Molly's was with us, but said no this morning. They finally couldn't do it. Kona Ice Truck we had confirmed, but they got pulled for the OSU tailgate at the last minute. And they said, sorry, Goose Hollow, we are going to go where, the tailgaters behind the fence are. I think it's a mistake, but that's that. I think they were offered a little extra cash in their pocket to leave our festival site. So I was thinking maybe it'd be nice to find another ice cream truck or something, but in the next 24 hours, I think that it's going to be grim at this point. But I think that if you guys want to, reach out, we could probably even say something to Zupan about, I don't know, like there's a couple of trucks. I have a vendor list here that's updated. It says vendors still needed. How about this? I'm going to tell you right now. Ready? Cocoa Donuts is going to work with me. I'm going to have them donate 24 donuts and coffee to the vendors, not just the people that are coming for the festival, but for you guys, everybody that's working the tents. I want to make sure that you all are supported too. So they're going to bring over donuts for you and coffee to keep you guys, eyes open and stuff while we're working. But tents that we're still looking for is like the emergency net team, emergency preparedness tent. I put in a call to them, still waiting back. Haven't heard from Sawbuck or Zupans or the Heather's Dog and Grooming on 14th or Tercy Soccer. I asked them to put a tent out there and sell all their discounted merch. It used to be Far Post, and then they got bought out by Tercy's. Far Post is a friend of mine, family friend of mine. So I would love to see them on the grid selling, really cool sports stuff, right? So they're going to get back to me tomorrow. Sport Oregon, if anybody has a relationship with Jim Etsy, Sport Oregon, please reach out to them and say, at least donate something to the raffle, right? Does anybody have any relationship with Sport Oregon?
Was the last name Etzel?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're UP family. I don't know if we can pull something like that at the last minute. And our vendor list does look pretty strong. Okay. So maybe we focus on the ones we have, but also just quickly, have we measured out that we have enough room for all of those vendors? Like, has anyone measured? I'm sure Jerry has. He's really good with detail. Okay, cool. Just making sure.
I agree with you because I got scared because I'm not good with measurements, but Jerry.
I bought one of those tapes last year and we measured it out, but we could always like take 10 steps or 5 steps and do it kind of old school. I'm not sure where that giant like yardage tape is now, but I'll stop talking.
No, actually I think it's fantastic. Should we bring that along just in case? Jerry, do you need that measuring tape?
No, I'm fine. I've got laser measures, the whole thing, uh, the sides of the blocks were laid out in 10-foot squares. And you'll notice that there are blanks here and there. It's to allow folks to sort of scoot over and let people through the line of canopies and stuff. So there's plenty of wiggle room that's actually allowed there.
I should point out too, thank you, Jerry, for going above and beyond. This isn't my wheelhouse at all with measurements and stuff. I just pack it on and expect someone to figure it out. We do have BMW. We have 3 different types of car type vendors. That's Grand Prix, BMW, and Green Drop Garage. So I'm putting them together, and BMW wants to bring an electric car because, as you know, Oregon is trying to push that thing through where they might go electric by 2035. So they want to put a car out there. I think it's a great idea. And Grand Prix wants to put some flashy car out there. So I was thinking they could, we could put the car, Jerry and I have a spot for the cars. So don't be shocked if you see 2 flashy cars right on the, on the street festival site right there. And then we have Green Drop Garage offering auto packages right there with them. So he's going to figure that piece out. And tomorrow morning, I got to call into BMW to figure out, we have to have a designated guy named Bobby out there to help us with putting cars on the street festival. So if you're into cars, let me know and we can line up with Bobby. But yeah,
there are 4 auto display areas noted on the, I guess that's the south side of Taylor.
Oh, he's so good. Jerry's so good. So we talked about this earlier and he updated the map to accommodate we just thought that the tree swells are a little bit hard to work around, but we knew that parking a car there would be great, because we wanted to maximize tent vendor capacity on the other side. And then people can weave through and eyeball cars right there. There's probably just be 3 cars, but yeah, that'll be, yeah. So we'll stick Stadium District over there in the corner. And then with the cars, maybe, hopefully I don't think it's a dead zone, but here's the deal with the Stadium District this year. They're in charge of the raffles. And at 8 a.m., all the vendors have been instructed to go over to the Stadium District tent and drop off their raffles. So they could feverishly work for the next 2 hours, figuring out how to put together raffle prizes. They'll be also in charge of the passports and stuff. And this is kind of their angle at, promoting business relationships, that kind of thing. So if you guys, if you're a part of something where you have to drop off a raffle prize, that they're going to be probably near the auto display on the end, like number 45. And then I talked to Tracy today about that. She's going to drop off the raffle tickets to them at 8 a.m. I think. And then there's also like a whiteboard. Is that what they used last year, Scott? Like a whiteboard to kind of write down prizes?
They did, yes.
Okay, bring that board too. And then, so we'll pass the baton off on them and, say, okay, there you go. They're looking for a table at this point. I'm like, cause I told them today on a conference call, I'm like, you need a table to lay out the raffle prizes. If anybody from last year was really involved in the raffle process, will you reach out to me? Cause maybe we'll just have you go spend some time with them just to get them up to speed. What do you think, Scott?
That was completely run by Zion.
Zion. Okay. So maybe I'll tell them to YouTube raffle prize distribution organization, right?
And I believe that it was Zion that supplied the whiteboard also, because we don't have one.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And can I ask, is raffle tickets are being sold? Where do the proceeds of the ticket sales go?
Scott, I'll let you answer that. I think it's just raffle tickets are for people that fill out the passports, visiting all the booths, right?
No. I think money is going to be brought in. In years past, it's gone toward operating expenses, but I'm not sure, since the Stadium District is running it, what's going to happen to those funds. I mean, last year it was minimal. It's like $140 or something like that. So it really wasn't a lot. It's really just to generate a little bit of interest and keep people kind of staying there at the event because you can't win unless you're there. And that's one of the
I
reasons
have an
my
idea.
son won like every prize available at the end of the afternoon because everybody had left and he was the only one who was still there. So he was loaded up with prizes.
Scott, what do you think this year for proceeds? Why don't we split the proceeds up from the raffle into two money pots, and whatever vendor goes above and beyond. And remember how I said like a little incentive for being a part of our festival, someone that really shines, or we could do 3 prizes to 3 vendors that really went like wowed our socks off. You know, at the event, they maybe the most helpful, or their display was really creative, or I don't know what. Can we talk about that? What do you think we ask the stadium district to dump it right back into the actual vendors that really put it all out there?
I don't know what the expectation is. You're gonna have to talk to them about, what to do with funds generated from raffle ticket purchases.
Okay. I would
Randomly about raffles, sorry.
Yeah.
I actually have, because I was going to go to a party in a few weeks, but Amazon delivered. I actually have a ton of raffle tickets. So Tiffany, I could email you. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but it's like brand new. And I've managed a raffle or 2 in my day, so they can just rip those apart. It's just announcing when the raffle is going to be. That's going to be the main thing. And also no one brings cash. So if you're selling raffle tickets, maybe they'll figure it out with the passport. Just making sure you ask, are you either paying for tickets or are they giving them away? Because they could give them away too. It's totally, up to them if they're managing it. I do have extra tickets if they need them. I'm happy to bring them. And just figuring out when they're going to announce it, because that's what everyone's going to want to know. So when they're going to announce it, if they need the tickets, and are people buying or submitting passport stamps, or how are they going to do that? Because if it's $1 or $2, I think in the past, that's why our winnings were, it was so meager. We didn't have a ton of offerings, but I think it was only like $1 or $2 or something for tickets. So think about it.
I have an idea. Bridget, you're my go-to. If I could call you tomorrow, I want you to work with a Lenny Girding on the raffle, because she doesn't know how to do it. And I think that we could really strategize. If you mind putting together something, maybe giving her a quick call, or maybe the morning of. Are you available at 8 to 8:30 or 8:30 to 9 o'clock maybe, or 9 o'clock, 9 to 9:30 maybe, to talk to her about the raffle portion of it?
Guys, I've cleared the calendar for you. I missed the picnic, and I was like so sad about missing the picnic. So I'm definitely
gonna nominate you.
Yes, no, I'm definitely available. And gosh, I was gonna share one more thing, but I forgot. Anyways, yeah.
And Bridget, I think that I would love, and I think Eleni's will be okay with this, because I want the raffle money to go back to the vendors. And so maybe,
and also we could even offer, just to be polite, we could offer vendors tickets to the raffles too. We don't want people winning their own stuff, but I'm not sure if we have vouchers. That's a whole nother conversation. I want to take up more time. We're an hour and 15 in, but just I'm here, call me.
Okay, everybody, we're going to have Bridget help us with that, because she's awesome. And I really have a good feeling that she knows what she's talking about. So we'll move forward with tech help. This is another section, number 6, if you saw my very involved notes. Technology. Scott is gracious enough to live stream the ribbon cut ceremony at 10 o'clock a.m. Over to our festival site. And Scott, would you like to tell everybody kind of what to expect at the festival site with this and this part?
Well, I'm not sure how it's going to work out. You do have, are you going to have some sort of sound person there, Tiffany?
We're going to have between Jerry and I, we're going to have a paid DJ from 11 to 3 to help us with the performers.
Okay.
But when it comes to this live streaming, that guy was like, what are you trying to live stream? I can't really help you out there. But
Right.
So we're thinking that Jerry said that his son, Ian, he's kind of techie. So maybe what we'll do is, use your karaoke box, like you said, and we'll try to live stream it together and figure this out.
So that's not going to be a problem. We have it, it's battery operated. It'll last pretty much the whole afternoon. I haven't yet cranked it up to full volume, so I'm not sure how far it's a pretty big box. It's 2.5 feet high. Anyway, it gets pretty loud. So the idea is that if I live stream something from Lincoln, that's about 1.5 blocks away, I can live stream it and it's delayed maybe about 30 seconds, or I can simply just make a phone call and have the other phone that's receiving it just kind of resting on the speaker, and then it would connect via Bluetooth and then broadcast. So whatever's happening at Lincoln, we would pretty much immediately be able to hear it on the street festival site, and then it would just be broadcast. So if people are singing, or if there's speeches given or something like that, we can go ahead and hear it.
I think just for a strategic point, when the ribbon cut starts at 10 and Mayor Wheeler's over there and who knows whoever's over there, it'd be great if we had a Goose Hollow member over there communicating with Scott somehow, or Scott's over there, like we work as a team. Also, that person could also tell us kind of survey wise what they're seeing, how big the crowd is. The bathroom for our festival site will be at the Common Plaza, ground level, at the entrance of Salmon and 17th. So you all need to know where that bathroom is. It's a gender neutral bathroom, and it's got 26 stalls, I think, with doors right there, probably right behind the ribbon cut ceremony. So if someone asks you where the bathroom is, that's it, or you might need to step off for a minute. But I would love to see that. I was listening to the Stadium District's meeting today a little bit, kind of, trying to make sure that they don't steamroll me in some way. But that festival site will have elected officials, will have food and beverage right there behind, somewhere in the building, I think, food for people that are getting tours and whatnot. But their food won't be anything like our Blue Star, right? And our Super Joy coffee and all that kind of stuff out front. But yeah, and Scott, are you going to partake in that event at all? Or are you going to stand out there from 10 at all?
No, I will be there. I will set up the speaker at the street festival site, and then I will need to be there with my phone doing the broadcast, or the phone call, or however we're going to transmit the audio, because it's really just going to be transmitted audio.
Okay, so most of us will be primarily at the street festival site. Northwest Examiners that we advertised in will also have their guy Wes Mahan. He's going to be taking pictures of our Goose Hollow pro bono of our street festival, and he's going to also take pictures over at the ribbon cut. So I hope to get some really good high quality pictures. So get your smiles out. Bridget, do you have a question about the ribbon cut?
2 questions. Are we going to have like a tablecloth, and is someone going to have handouts so we can get people to sign up for our neighborhood association at our booth? Because I think I'm going to be managing the first public shift. Like, where is all that stuff? Who has all that stuff? Who has the tote bags? Who do I pester when I arrive so that we are ready at go time?
So I'm bringing all of that stuff.
Okay, Scott, would it be helpful
The
if I
only
came
thing that
by?
the only thing I don't have is a tablecloth and a
Okay.
table. And so we just need to figure out how to do that. But as far as, sign up sheets,
Got it.
the Goose Hollow goose stamps that we're passing out to all the vendors, the signage, the swag, all that stuff I'm going to be bringing.
Would it be helpful if I came by tomorrow in the afternoon and grabbed like just some stuff that we need for the table, or is it easier for you organizationally if you show up with everything at once?
Well, I was going to show up at 7 o'clock with all that stuff.
Okay.
So
Okay. All right.
it's fine. It's still all in boxes. I'll just go
Sweet.
ahead and transfer it all in boxes.
Okay. So we still need the table, which it sounds like we're going to try to procure at some point. I'll bring chairs, and we need some kind of tablecloth or something with the logo. But it sounds like we may have ordered those things through the MAC. So we'll have some kind of signage so that people know who we are, and we have swag and representation. And then the other question was with the photos. I think one piece that's really been missing for us, because we do get the numbers, we have smiling faces, it's like our time to shine, is we can never distribute the photos. So for the love of God, whoever has the photos or takes the photos, if we can get like a link or some way to get those photos so we can share them with vendors and then use them to promote our association and what we do, because it's amazing what all of you do. That is like the one thing that has always been missing. Over.
So what do you think if for our thank you letter to the vendors when we conclude the street festival, we could add a couple great pictures in there? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because like even I've seen just on social media, like Grand Prix, all those businesses, like Portland Gear had us up on their chalkboard, even though they spelled hollow wrong, up on their like events chalkboard. Like these businesses want to promote, and if we follow up with any kind of imagery, they would love it. And that's like small stuff compared to everything you guys are doing strategically, organizationally. Like the amount of money and sponsors you guys have brought in, it's humbling. This is just follow up, so that, because if we have people taking pictures, we should definitely be able to access those pictures if possible.
So
I made the note.
what we've done in the past, Bridget, is that we've selected certain pictures and put them up on the Goose Hollow Days web page of our website, but they cycle through like a slideshow. And what we can kind of do too, first of all, those pictures are from, a few years ago. So if you want to update the pictures, then we can have someone saying, pick the 10 best pictures that look good in landscape so that we can crop them appropriately. And then for the rest of the pictures, we can have them available on some site so that you can look at them in bulk. And I'm not sure, the first thing I can do, the second thing I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, if we wanted to, I know social media is kind of weird, but we could just create like one big Facebook album and then people could share that link. If we didn't want to do like Dropbox or something, I'm sure there's other ways to share photos. I just don't know of them.
Okay.
I made note of that. Doug, go ahead.
I can bring, I mean, there'll be other people, but I can bring my camera or cameras. My problem is I don't want to carry around a camera while I'm,
Yeah.
hauling around stuff. So I'd have to give it to somebody.
And then it gets stolen. Then we have to let security know, like we
Yeah.
lost the camera.
But if I give it to you and, or something, but I don't want to carry a camera bag while I'm carrying chairs.
Phone cameras have gotten so good. I think if you just encourage people to take photos and share the best ones to us, then
Yeah.
we can collect them in one spot. So,
Hey, does anyone have a good tablecloth? Since we're kind of stuck on that tablecloth piece, right? Does anybody have a tablecloth, or do we need to purchase something like blue?
well, we
Or
don't even know how big the table is.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like maybe we have sandwich boards. For some reason, I think I had imagined, because last year I remember it's all kind of a blur, really. I just remember we had a nice table and it seemed like a decent setup. But I'm excited that we have swag, so maybe forget about the tablecloth. We've got bigger fish to fry. As long as we have tote bags to give away, pens and paper so we can get people's signatures and get them on board. We'll make it, we'll shine.
you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get a tablecloth because it's probably gonna be an 8x10 folding table, just like most vendors based on our vendor application. And then our flag that we would typically hang from a light pole, let's just drape it over the table and it will look fantastic. That's what we'll do. We'll be resourceful. And then
Tiffany,
The tablecloth can be tied like they did last year very nicely around the edges of the table. So,
Okay.
so it won't move. And then you can put the sign over the top of that.
that'd be great.
All right.
the sort of the standard tables are 6 feet long.
6 feet. Sorry, did I say 8x10 like the tent? Sorry.
The appropriate tablecloth length is like 90 inches. And I think we've got a couple of 90-inch tablecloths around here.
Okay, so Jerry, do you want to bring a tablecloth then that you think would fit thank you, I appreciate it. I'm gonna put you down
Well,
for that.
Sort of
Yeah.
planning on putting a couple of folding tables in the back of my car anyway. Hoping that I don't have to drag them out, but if necessary, they'll be available.
Jerry's on it for backup. Lori, no, sorry, Linda. Linda's still on the call, or do we lose Linda?
No, we lost her.
She gave us a detail of our swag inventory, and Scott, you saw that. Is that pretty accurate? And is that what we'll probably see at our vendor booth, like shirts?
I'll bring everything that we have, including the volunteer t-shirts, but we did give away about 10 items at the picnic.
Okay, are we giving away that swag to new members that sign up? Is that the plan for the swag, or are we putting it in the raffle, or what are we doing with that swag? Are we selling it? What are we doing?
I don't know. I mean, that's up to you guys. We've there's been no discussion about what to do with it, whether to give it away, have it be part of the raffle. We don't know. Hasn't been discussed.
Bridget, what I have a feeling.
I think we give people tote bags. I don't know how many we have. I need to revisit our inventory. I know inventory management is a thing, but I think if people are already members and they can prove it, or they have an email, or if they sign up, it seems like they could choose. What do you think? Or do we not have enough stuff?
Well, we have maybe about 40 items total, I guess. So,
I could be an incentive for signing up. I mean,
Yeah, or we could give totes to people who buy a bunch of merchandise on the street festival site too for $2 a bag or something, and they can fill it up with their jars of honey and salsa and that kind of stuff. What do you think?
Well,
Maybe we should sell the
there's the interactive part of the table that where they get a stamp in their booklet. And so it could be if they could prove that they're a Goose Hollow member, they get a stamp. If they sign up to be a new member, they get a stamp. Because no one has discussed what our interactive kind of activity is going to be to give the stamp. I think last year we brought our big Jenga set and set it up, and if someone was able to move a piece from the middle up to the top successfully without having the Jenga thing collapse, they got a stamp. So we could change that. We could do the same thing. We could have them, if they sign up, they get a stamp, whatever.
I think Tracy might be using the Jenga for her interactive activity.
Oh, is she? Okay.
Yeah.
Then forget it. So she'll
But
use
I
that.
like the
You
idea
can use
of,
that if you sign up or prove that you're a member, you get a stamp.
yeah, the stamp, and then you can get swag if you want it. I mean, what are we hanging on to it for?
Well, I parade around in the Goose Hollow shirts, every day. So
I think it was helpful when we had the postcard, to say that, but we're not always going to have a postcard like next year. But it also could be used every time there's an event like the picnic or Goose Holidays in the future. I mean, I don't think we'll give 40 pieces away on Saturday, maybe. And it's good advertising if people carry around the tote bag. So
yeah. So yeah, as long as we replace it, it was very popular at the picnic, and people were disappointed when we ran out. So I think we should always have at least some in inventory.
mhm.
I don't mind giving them all away.
People stop me and ask me where I got my tote bag and if I can have them. And when I went to our wrap up party at your house, Scott, for Goose Holidays, I took like 5 of them, and they are cherished items, and my neighbors in the condo asked for them, and I gave them to people as gifts, and I only have one left.
So that's where they went.
Another one.
I actually think for the tote bag, I would love a tote bag too. I think we should sell the tote bags and put.
I'm just saying, we should order 150 next year, and I know we don't have time, but let's keep that in our post-mortem pictures and more tote bags.
Okay,
Just
sounds
evergreen.
good. Well, again, I'm bringing all of the inventory that we have. So, we can make a last minute decision about who to give it away to, how many to give away, whatever. That's a decision you guys can make. So I'll just bring everything.
Yeah, give this, Bridget, I'm going to leave this up to you, okay? And once again, if you don't mind putting this stressor off of our backs and figuring out, and also the passport piece, can you please work with the stadium district? Because I want to make sure that they make a passport that is conducive to what we're asking at the tables. I don't want a big fumble nightmare situation where, people don't understand if they get an extra stamp or something like that. I don't know those little intricate pieces, but do you remember that
Oh yeah, listen, it's going to be a shit show, and there's going to be a ton of people running around, but listen, I'll give it my, Girl Scout, I'll give it my best shot, and we'll try to keep people, on board with the passport. I'll get the details, we'll chat, it will come together, and we'll give it our best shot. And if people stick to the passport, then that's great. And if that's what the stadium district wants to pursue for the raffle, then wonderful. If we can't pull it together, we'll find some way to give the people what they want.
Looking at the schedule, I think we've missed an hour. Or did I write it down wrong? So we've got 7 to 9, 9 to 11, and then 12 to 2. So we've missed the 11 to 12 slot.
I'll take it. I'll just do 9 to 12. I'm free all day anyways.
Okay.
So, I don't know how many questions I can answer. I'll probably be texting Scott, asking him questions, but I'll smile and give tote bags away.
Lori, you got hawk eyes. You're like an editor. I'm gonna have to remember that's your skill set. I think that's why you did such a good job on the postcard. You're like laser.
Oh no, I wasn't the postcard.
Well, you were the postcard, yeah, but you're the grant.
Linda and Catherine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But you're still the grant, and you're paying attention to all those little details. So with the grant part, we're going to circle back with you in the end, right? With the whole application, is that correct? So maybe after the festival ends, are we going to come find you to make sure that you got the answers to the grant to get that executed?
Yeah. For the deadline and for my personal timeline, I really would like to submit it no later than Monday. And so I heard mention of a DJ, a stage, is it Steve that knows about these expenses?
It's me. I'm gonna get with you, and I'm gonna send an email probably tomorrow morning, and it'll detail my costs and stuff like that, and I'll CC Steve. But also too, just to put your mind at ease, Darlene is the director of Neighbors West Northwest. She's gonna have a tent there on the festival site, and she's gonna be working it. And I would love it if you want to get your questions asked by the woman that's in charge of that whole piece. Does that help you a little bit too?
Yeah,
if
sure.
Okay. Yeah.
And
So
so
Darlene-
Lori, are you going to relieve me of duty at like around noonish, or am I misunderstanding the schedule?
yeah, no, I
Yeah.
think she is.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet. Okay, Lori, I'll just wait for you. Come save
Okay.
me. lunchtime.
I'll try to be earlier on time.
You guys are great. I'm looking at the time. It's 8:32. So let's try to muscle through the rest of this. We do have. I got my next number one is 10. I'm on number 10. Scott talked about this earlier. The fire memorial people, they won't be able to handle that tent. So I was hoping a volunteer could maybe in close proximity kind of keep an eye on it. KGW Studios, they actually are a sponsor. They gave us $1,500 and they gave us a bag of swag and said, we are sorry, but we don't have the power to do a booth, but can you please hand out all this swag on our behalf, like chapsticks? Yeah. Do you want to do it?
Bring it to our
Okay,
little table, because we'll probably
So-
run out of goodies, and that way we have more stuff. So in case Lori, I give away everything, and we still have some chapstick.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So it's $1,500 worth of swag is what they're doing?
Well, they did $1,500 in cash. So you're going to see a check come by next week, Scott, I think when they send it from back east. But think about this, everyone. BMW gave us $2,000. KGW gave us $1,500. Mac Club paid for $3,100 in marketing on their credit card. And then we had other sponsors like that did other things like more bartering and such. But Jerry, that's a lot of money, right?
It's more than we spent before.
You guys, it's amazing.
And plus,
Yeah,
we're gonna
and-
get a grant. Plus, we're gonna get a grant on top of it.
Oh my, which is great, because there'll be years where we're scrappy. And we
Right.
we only were successful last year was because we had overage from years prior. So anything we can save in a reserve of some sort, whether we use it for this or something else, is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
It was the difference between being in the red last year.
Right.
So maybe after we conclude, let's make a list of wish lists of what we should do for the next event, because we probably need a more professional tablecloth, because that those kind of things to really make us
And
polished.
we
Or
want
I
to
don't know.
replenish, our giveaway stuff.
Oh, that's
Plus,
good.
plus,
Yeah,
plus December board meeting in Fiji.
Yeah.
yes. I have to say thank you to everybody putting on these kind of events. It's a very laborious, painful process. And Jerry, thank you for putting up with my busyness and stuff like that. But actually all of you, I mean, Linda, Lori, Doug, you're gonna be there, Bridget, with your great feedback. David, you're gonna be our secretary or note taking. And then also Steve Atkins too, because I have to say behind the scenes, he's been cutting checks. We did get that question about the W-9, right, Scott?
That's right.
And that was a first for me. I was like, oh yeah, they probably do need a W-9 because it's over $750. Is that correct? Is that what the magic number is in business when you
600.
600? Okay,
Yeah.
750. Anyway, so he's gonna go through the gamut here soon. Steve is, with all the bookkeeping end, and we managed to get out of paying for porta potties this year, street barricades. I did have a question, Scott, for you in regards to costs. We had to pay $45 for the little barricade that says no parking your car, from Block Party. That's not bad. And then we may have to pay tow truck fees. Who knows, right? Is there, and then Northwest Examiner doubled in price this year to $420 versus $240 last year. We need to pay your wife, Tracy, back $30 for her book lecture. But last year, there's a bill for $116 for noise variance. I don't think we applied for that. What is that?
I think if you have an amplified, I think if you have like 4 more speakers or something like that, it's artificial amplification of sound, so that when we had the concert there, we had a lot of speakers, and so, or we had the entertainment. So I think that was the noise variance piece.
Well, let's
And I
blame
don't
it on the
remember, 'cause
timbers.
I didn't go through that. I didn't get the permit for that. I wasn't involved. I don't know if Jerry was or not. So,
I wasn't actually involved in the noise variance, but it's when you're within 200 feet of residences. And there is an apartment house nearby, but I don't think we're going to have to worry about it.
I think that the Timber Stadium is going to make so much noise that everybody in the whole neighborhood is going to have to get earplugs and move away from the whole day, because of a 275 marching band and crazy OSU tailgaters, I'm sure will make so much noise that the hills will hear. In addition, just as a heads up for our neighborhood, Turner Construction starting to make, move the earth a little bit. Some of our smaller businesses along the perimeter said that their kitchens are shaking and everything. So I wouldn't be shocked if they reach out to our neighborhood association and say, oh my gosh, being next to a construction site is a nightmare. It's already started, right? That vibration feeling in the ground. And I'm sure, Scott, you probably know of this with the land use, and Jerry too. We'll probably get complaints, but that's when I was walking around yesterday talking to all the perimeter properties. They're like, are you part of Turner? Because the ground's shaking. And I'm like, uh-oh, okay.
I guess that's a preview for Block 7.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
not necessarily. The noise that Turner is creating right now has to do with demolition.
Mm.
Yeah. They're
And
smashing things, yeah.
we need to make sure that they do screw pilings rather than pounded in pilings. Same thing on Block 7. If they do pounded in pilings, half the buildings around the site are going to fall down.
Jeez. Also, I noticed today when I was out there looking around again, Lincoln High School is demolitioning their school too, and that was so noisy. So I can't imagine what these residents are thinking, with that, the destruction of that, and then Turner's breaking things down. I mean, it's going to be a long haul for the neighborhood for sure. So I feel sorry for everyone there, but yeah, I don't know.
All right, how many more pieces do we have, Tiffany? I just wanted to make sure we had enough time for the other 2.
Sure. Oh, okay. Okay. Speeding along. Everything looks good there. This looks good so far. You know what? I think we got through it. We got through it, you guys. Yep. I'll send out the final email in the morning. The all hands on deck email. I'm probably going to give you an update. That's what you're going to see. That's going to be your piece of document that you're going to look at the day of. If you have to grab it, just Google or just look on your email and go hands on deck, final version. And then our vendors will get the same thing. Hopefully our communication will help, but you're right, Doug. They probably won't listen or pay attention. So I say thank you to you guys Saturday to help guide them in. Scott, anything else?
Well, not on Goose Hollow days, no.
Okay.
So
Keep me in the group texts the day of, just so you know. I'm just down the street if you need me.
all right. Well, we lost David, which was our the person that was going to put us over the top for majority, and so we don't have a quorum anymore. So I don't know where he is. I hope he's going to join. There he is. Okay, now we have a quorum. All of a sudden, that's just like magic. So moving on to item 2, there is the Firefighters Memorial Plaza is that triangular piece of property that's across Burnside from the McDonald's, and on like 364 days of the year, it's a disaster. There's actually, I think, 1 or 2 homeless people who've kind of
It's shameful.
claimed it as their own home. And when we were there for the annual kind of memorial service, where you had the firefighters playing bagpipes and you had the politicians hobnobbing with people, it was all cleaned up. It was a beautiful sight. But that was only one day out of the year. They are trying to redesign it, and that's what the Firefighters Memorial Plaza redesign effort is all about. And the David Campbell Memorial Association is trying to headline that. So they are looking for support from the neighborhood and from everyone else. And by support, it's just like, emotional support rather than like money. I don't think they expect us to actually donate money to them, although I'm sure they would take it. But they've engaged an architect and are going to be releasing the plan any day now to show what they're thinking in terms of how the property can be kind of reconfigured to make it more useful and maybe more protected. I put it on because they've asked for our support. I put this on the agenda to maybe vote for maybe some sort of letter of support that we can write to them. And so I just want to propose to you that we do so. So does anyone want to make a motion or have any questions? We can go ahead and make a motion, then we can have a discussion after we've had someone make the motion, someone second it. So can we have someone make the motion and then someone second it?
Scott, I'm sending you an email right now from Don Porth, the firefighter that's dedicated to this memorial fund. He sent us an email with a PDF with a letter explaining why this needs to be a new memorial site. And he's got the whole attachment for what we need to vote on to write to city council. I just sent it. So I'd say if we're going to pass it, let's just say exactly what he's asking, and I could read it off right now.
Didn't we all get that letter in the board prior? Yeah, so I think all of us have seen that. So at this point, the next course of action is, do we draft a motion to support the firefighters memorial? I'm so bad at this game, Scott.
Yes, that's exactly what the motion.
Okay.
The motion would be GFL would write a letter in support of the Portland Firefighter Memorial Plaza as envisioned by the David Campbell Memorial Association.
And I think they want us to testify. They're asking for this at the fall bump, and I don't know what the date is, but we probably should make sure that our letter and one or three of us or something goes over and testifies during the fall bump and asks for them to allocate some funding from the city.
And who are we writing the letter to? That's a point of detail.
Mayor Wheeler and the city officials, the city commissioners.
So you see, I have the display on the screen. This is the last page of that handout that Tiffany had just sent me. So electronic correspondence or mailed correspondence to these people.
Okay.
Does anybody want to draft up this letter?
Well, I mean, I could go ahead and do it since it probably makes sense for it to be signed by the president. But if anybody else wants to take a crack at it, please, that'll save me some time. Oh, no, don't all talk at once, please. Okay. So did somebody make a motion?
So the
Richard,
motion is,
yeah, David, you take a crack at the motion.
so the motion is that the Goose Hollow Foothills League will write a letter in support of the new design of the Firefighters Memorial Plaza to be sent to the city commissioners and the mayor.
All right, somebody want a second? Did somebody second?
Yeah, and then on the end, fall 22, just say this, in the motion, fall 22, right?
I can second it.
Okay. Does anybody want to discuss this further, or do you want to vote? Any questions?
We could vote. I mean, one of the things is it keeps coming back is that the story about, and I feel so sad every time I go past it. It's just so pitted out. And there's just like all of this homeless activity there. And, I mean, it's wonderful. They're going to redo this. This is wonderful. And I'm all in favor of it. I mean, how is this going to jive with, the houseless people that consider it their home? And what is the plan?
I can answer that, Scott, because I talked to Dawn for like 30 minutes on the phone. they're going to redesign the bell so it doesn't have a way for someone to get underneath it as a cover, as like a bed or a roof or something. He wants to make sure that bell is encased. So yeah, because right now that person's using the bell literally as a shelter
Yeah.
site. So, and not having that is one way. And also, Scott could answer staging wise, they like redirecting in the configuration in a different direction. But also, Don did mention that by the time this happens, he's hoping that maybe he could also use this road. What road is this, by the way? I can't tell on the map. Is that 18th?
18th and 19th. It's where 18th and 19th splits.
Yeah.
Wait a
Don
second,
says
Steve.
Don was saying that the Timber Stadium was maybe strategizing an idea of making this a festival site road, like dedicating only pedestrians to be on it for the future. I said, well, come back to us later and talk about that, because right now we have a bunch of construction in the neighborhood, and losing another street to a non-car pedestrian right away right now when Lincoln High School and then Press Blocks are doing their thing, and then we have other spots that are developing, and Block 7, it's going to make it so we can't even get out of our neighborhood.
Yeah.
So
They're also planning on making 17th a festival street, so that, that'd be kind of much. But
well,
what I can
maybe
say,
that's
what I
it.
can
Is
say
that-
is that is a public park, and it's not like just being any place. And they do tell the people they can't be there quite often. It's not like it's being occupied all the time, because I walk by there all the time. Just
Well,
for
so-
information.
So here's a question. What is the, I mean, just asking people to move is not always the best way. I like the idea, like Tiffany was talking about.
They asked them to go
Goose
someplace, they tell them where they can go to the shelters.
They tell them where they're going to go, and they provide them a ride, because Tiffany
right.
was talking about cab fare and driving. She mentioned, I think, 2 different locations for the Goose Hollow days. I mean,
But parks in the middle of the city have been specifically designated as not a place to camp. It's not, it's not like along I-405 or other places.
I think in terms of Goose Hollow Foothills League, we need to set up a meeting, maybe later in the year or early in the spring or something, with Portland Parks, because Mayor Wheeler stood on the podium there and said that he was going to use this as his priority and making sure that it was not disrespected. And like within 24 hours later, it was already trashed out and disrespected. And so we need whoever's in part of that jurisdiction to really take serious like that, how important that site is. And sadly, that bureau doesn't do their job. So, or maybe we got to figure out, I shouldn't say I'm recorded on this. I don't know if they're not doing their job, but they're just not coming around and cleaning and facilitating and advocating for that park, like Mayor Wheeler said on the microphone. Do you remember that, Scott? I think we should have recorded him.
I do. And I remember when I heard it the first time that I knew it was just a lot of hot air. So,
I'll tell you something, if someone in my family were a firefighter that died in the line of duty, and to see somebody, with a sleeping bag under a belt, even if they close the thing off and they do all these nice things they're going to, I mean, it is so upsetting and so disrespectful.
Thank you for saying that. It is like they're out there dying, fighting fires right now. And there's people like shooting up drugs, like eating their McDonald's, and there's shelters for them. But let's move on. Can we?
Yeah. So can we go ahead and vote on this and move on? We're getting close to 2 hours. Just to show you, it's kind of hard to see the red outline in the right-hand image, but you can see that that's, where the fountain would go. When the fountain was turned on, it was amazing. I don't think I'd ever seen the fountain on, and this would be an even larger spot. Everything below it would be a lawn, essentially, for public events and things like that. So that's kind of what the new design is. So I'm just going to go ahead and call for a vote. Everyone in support of drafting this letter, in support of the new design and the Firefighters Association, raise your hand. I'm going to go ahead and stop share so I can see everybody. Okay, it looks like it's unanimous. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, good. Okay, thank you.
Lori, I like this. That was
Yeah.
great. Yeah. How often will you get a vote on something that's actually really cool?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know,
Mhm.
that's great. Okay, last part is the elections committee. So as you know, we have an election at our annual meeting every November. And we need to get started at least 2 months in advance so that we can give notice to everybody according to our bylaws. And that requires that we set up an elections committee. This has been going on for a decade. We have all the announcements pretty much all pre-written. We have the dates kind of set. You just need to kind of recalculate the dates based on when the annual meeting is. So Bridget, you've been chair before, right? So you can at least tell people that it's not a crazy amount of work, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on who's dialing into the meetings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, I can't say no to you. If you need help, and I haven't turned out because I don't even know like where I am and how long I'm supposed to be at this place.
Well, as you know, I'll give all the
board.
support I need, but we need 3 people to be on the elections committee, and they cannot be people that are up for election. So Bridget, I know that you're not up for election. Sherry is terming off, but I know that there's a lot of stress in her life, so I'm not going to ask you to do that. Laurie, you're not up for election. Is that something that you might be able to do and participate in the elections committee?
Is it something that you can do not being present in Portland?
Well, I think the answer to that is 110% yes. There is no requirement that you be at the same table, like toasting each other with beers at the Goose Hollow Inn and, talk about election stuff. It can be via video. And it's just to have, more heads than one, just get their ideas together and decide how
Yeah.
they're going to pursue
And
things.
Lori, you would be a huge asset because you're fresh eyes and you're a detailed person, and that's what we need. And our biggest hurdle, I was being kind of coy and just joking with Scott, was there was so much pushback about trying to do elections digitally that it took 45 minutes to an hour, just explaining that we needed to be able to do things online. So we can definitely do this online. And if you do volunteer your time, we'll be respectful of it. But we need you because you're a detailed person, Lori, and you catch those holes in schedules, and you actually read the stuff. And I will work with Scott and the other committee member to try to line things up. And then maybe we can even just come up with a playbook. I think that we have one that was drafted, and I'll ask the committee prior what they did. But yeah, you can do everything remotely, look stuff over. It really is, like Scott said, it's making sure we dot our I's and cross our T's when it comes to requirements for elections.
Right.
as far as bylaws.
The only other thing that the elections committee, they're not officially tasked with it, but it might be a good idea, is recruiting. And so if we're trying to bring in or make sure that we have very competent and energized people that are going to represent the neighborhood. And so if you have any idea about somebody that you think would be great asset to the board, to reach out to them. And you don't have to be a part of the elections committee to do that, because we're always on the lookout to kind of expand our circle.
We know just, and this is probably the election committee's job, do we know who's up for re-election? How many people do we need to be recruiting?
So the first order of business is to basically go through the whole list and determine that. And so I can kind of give you an idea about who would be up for election. And let's see here.
I kind of think I might be up for, because I've been in the seat a little while. So
Yeah. So Tiffany, you were elected last year, right?
I think so. For the VP position, or I'm still in the
No.
public safety?
I mean, you went through an election, a general election, right?
I feel like I've been on the board a few years now.
So I'm just looking at our board of directors. So I think you were appointed in 2019, but I don't remember when your last. I'll have to take a look at when the various elections were and who were up for election. So David is up for election. Everyone that was elected in 2020, except for me, since I had to do 2 in a row. So David, Vadim, Sean, and Catherine are up for election.
Oof, that's not good. I think I remember this. Remember early on, we were worried that there's going to be a lot of people up for election all at once. That's kind of
Yes.
a fearful moment,
Yep.
just for the board stability. But Scott, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
This is just for board member participation, but we go from annual picnic right into Goose Holidays, and then we roll right into the elections. Does our elections have to happen in November? Could we move it to spring? Because what do we have in spring that would, I'm just thinking for, board members, this is a heavy fall schedule, right?
No, I think it's part of our bylaws. So, so we have, I believe, I have to check, but I think our bylaws say that our annual meeting is in November.
Okay. Okay. I'm just thinking, does everybody else notice how action packed? I mean, we go from our summer, August, right into the annual picnic, and we're like, and then we go, for Goose Hollow. And I just thought, it'd be nice to have a calm November, maybe.
Well, I mean, the thing is, we have the annual meeting. It should be calm because it's basically just the elections committee kind of doing the heavy lifting, and then we just kind of show up and vote. So,
Yeah,
Okay.
Tiffany, it's my
effectively,
time to
it's 5
step up.
minutes.
We'll take care of it. We'll make sure it's organized. We'll get people's lists. We'll fall back on work that the dream team did last year on the elections committee. And I have a bunch of gibberish stored somewhere in a folder on my desktop. We'll take care of business, and you guys can sit back, and hopefully we'll streamline it. We can do it online. We're going to make it happen.
Okay.
So Bridget, you're volunteering to be on the committee. Okay.
Yeah.
And just to reassure everybody, I mean, the recruiting is the hard part. And unfortunately, I can't, I don't have any great ideas about that, but we had trouble getting a quorum last fall for the election. We were like calling around and texting our neighbors, like, can you get on this thing? And there were like, I think less than 30 votes. So it's not like a unmanageable thing. It's just like a detail thing.
Right.
So, yeah. So, I'll volunteer to be on the committee as long as it can be done remotely.
Lori, I will be so good to you. Okay.
I've been through Bridget, you make it easy. You really do. I remember a couple things that were making it hard, and I got stressed out, but thank you so much for doing this, because you're really organized for the election thing. I felt we could follow you. Is it fair to ask all of our board members to look for maybe 1 or 2 people we could possibly recruit, or we could groom for the position as well? Because, if Sherry's been talking like, hey.
Well, let's wait until Goose Holidays is over, because then we can share photos of how much fun it is, all the stuff we do, and it gives us a reason to brag and then make the hard ask.
Watch out, Doug, you might get recruited back in.
Well,
I've already
Doug wants to
cornered
come
him on
back there.
street corners and begged him to come back.
And frankly,
I do know that Eric Simon told me he was leaving town, but he may be lying.
oh, okay. Well,
He may
so
not.
but
Is he
the
moving to Canada?
Goose Holidays is an opportunity to connect personally with all the people in our neighborhood and kind of play up the organization and kind of test out their interest in maybe possibly running for board positions. So it's a great opportunity. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring it up today, so that we could use Goose Holidays. And Bridget, especially since you're manning the table staffing the table for 3 hours. Tracy kills me every time I say that. Sorry, habit. Staffing the table for 3 hours. You can just go ahead and try to play up, do the recruiting pitch to them.
Well, I'll try not to totally ruin our brand.
Yeah.
We'll see
Well,
what
how
I
could
can
you do that? You're even wearing our colors. Yep. All right. Does anybody have any other items of business to discuss? The only thing that I wanted to discuss very, very, very briefly is planning, the planning committee. Jerry and I did not meet this past month, but I did want to say that it looks like all the projects that have been delayed are now back on the table. So press blocks, 23 stories, 337 apartment units is going to be built. Block 7, 18 stories, 336 apartment buildings is going to be built. The 2 7-story apartment buildings that are close to the old, I think they're on Taylor and 15th, across the street from each other, 107 apartments in each of those. Looks like they are restarting those and should get final permits in the next month. And they're going to start construction. And then we have that other project that is currently being built off of Alder and Burnside, and that's going to be 200. So if you add all that stuff together, then that is 1,100 apartment units that are going to be built and available in like 3 years.
And yet they still think they're charging market rates and the rents don't go down. They just,
Right.
Yes.
And just so you know, the Press Blocks project is not inclusionary housing. That was approved before that was passed.
okay.
And so that's all going to be market rate. And it's a very expensive building. I'm sure the apartments are going to be very expensive because they're going to have great views, and it's a tall building, very expensive to build. All the other projects are inclusionary housing, although you've probably read that there are some projects that have, are either not going to have it or pay some sort of quote unquote penalty so that they don't have to offer those sorts of affordable units. So who knows? I know it's all going to be expensive, but there's just going to be a ton of new apartments in our neighborhood in the next 3
I'm
years.
so bummed there's no condos. Like, come on.
Yeah, I think legally it's just so difficult because of leaky condo syndrome and the builder on the hook for 10 years. And it's just difficult to build and sell in this environment. So I'm not sure that too many of those are funded. But if you really want one, the expensive building downtown that is close to completion, that's part of that is going to be condos.
I mean,
Oh, the
my
Ritz-Carlton.
fiance and I made a bid on one of those top floors at the Civic, but we didn't get it.
Oh,
It was pretty brutal.
yeah. Well, I think it's $1 million start asking fee for the new building downtown. Yeah, I know.
Is that the Ritz? Are the
Ritz.
Ritz apartments or the?
It is
Yeah.
the Ritz.
Yeah,
It's
it's
part
the
of it.
Ritz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the indication that Block 7 was back on again? Or why did you mention that? Was it on pause for a minute?
Are you talking about the Press Blocks or Block 7?
Block 7.
Oh, well, that's never been fallow. So the only thing that they were waiting for is to get approval for a partner property where they can buy the FAR from, and they bought it off of a property on 13th. So basically kind of in the Pearl District. And so I haven't
Okay.
seen the contract. I don't know what the price is. The only thing we can do is ensure that that project is gonna pay the money to seismically upgrade their building, because that's the requirement. They have to sign a contract with the city to do that. And with a building like that, it's going to be enormously expensive to do so. So we just need to make sure that they do it. And if they don't, then it's not a legal contract that Block 7 signed with them. So that's always been the restriction, is that the building is so big and tall, they need to buy FAR from some other historic property that has not been seismically upgraded, but apparently they found it.
Yeah. I thought maybe that something had changed, since you thought originally that they might have been putting the construction fences around Block 7 in August. And when I didn't see that, I was pretty excited.
Oh, no, I
Thank you.
haven't heard anything. And, there was, I think Jerry had mentioned about the auger drilling versus kind of the pounding the posts into the ground for stability and the sound. And the thing is, even the Mat Club doesn't know what they're doing. They have not been communicating with the Mat Club about their plans. So I talked with the communications director who was at a meeting a few months ago, Stephanie, and she doesn't know. They're not communicating with her. So what I've heard is that they're going to set up a process where they're going to communicate with us in detail, like every few weeks or every month or something like that. So hopefully we'll be able to give you detailed update on exactly what's going on. But it's very frustrating.
Jeez. I have a little last little snippet to throw on, and
Yeah.
then we'll probably go to bed. I've been a part of the ADA lawsuit on the city of Portland. Yay.
Yes.
It's not a Goose Hollow affiliation by any means, but I'm sure you've seen in the news the ADA lawsuit that was filed last, I think Wednesday. Everything's kind of a blur right now. Maybe it was 2 Wednesdays ago, but I've been working with Davis, Wright, and Tremaine, and I'm more of an advocate role for the 10 plaintiffs, making sure that they're supported during this lawsuit. So you're going to see me. I talked to Davis, Wright, and Tremaine. They want to keep me on to make sure, because right now, every day we're getting so many people from all over Portland wanting to be part of the ADA lawsuit because their ADA rights have been violated. And this is going to be epic, and we're going to probably be considered the first major city on the West Coast, and if anything in America, that is now having to face a reality that ADA rights are in violation, and we need to get back on track. So offline, we could talk a little bit more about that, but I'm just super proud of the 10 heroes in our community that have stepped up, that are ready for this to get their lives back. So, and that includes Goose Hollow. With the PSU, Diane, she put together a census study on Goose Hollow. And I didn't realize this, but we are actually one of the leading neighborhoods with a lot of people with disabilities. Old Town Chinatown, I think, was 35%, and Goose Hollow was, I think, 13 right after Lloyd District, or maybe ahead of Lloyd District. I don't know, but it shocked me that a lot of people in our area actually with disabilities are drawn to us because of our public transportation and our walkability and close proximity to services. So I'm going to continue to advocate for ADA, especially in the Goose Hollow neighborhood. And I'll talk to you guys next month about an ADA walking score on our neighborhood as well, because we got to take this serious. So thank you.
Thanks. Did everybody see that I posted the new demographics data that was just released by the Portland State Population Center?
Oh, that's it. That's
on
the
our
one.
website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I think that's where it says, I think 13% of people that identify with disabilities are in our neighborhood. And I use that with the ADA lawsuit too, is because the city of Portland doesn't tend to take priority for the neighborhoods close to proximity to public transportation. And if you notice, we have a lot of unsheltered tent encampments blocking our access to to these key areas where people need to get to transportation. So this is big, real big for us. And I'm proud of Diane for putting this together. Is she the one that's responsible for that, or was it PSU or?
No,
who?
it's PSU's. She just has connections with this group, but she didn't do any of the work. The population studies group at PSU did all this work.
This is
But you can
fantastic.
see the one thing that I noticed, first of all, our population is now over 7,000. I'm surprised that it wasn't higher than that. But if you look at the increase in kids, it's basically risen by like 50%. So families are moving in here, which is great to see. And hopefully with these other units, even though a lot of them are single bedroom units, I think people are starting to live like they did in New York City, just kind of in smaller spaces. So hopefully we'll see even more kids around here. And I think that's it.
Great ending. Thank you so much, guys. It's great to see all of you, and see you Saturday, bright and early.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good seeing you.
Bye.
Good night.